Oh, if I as a human being, am I over the time? No. If I as a human being can hear and speak, then he who created me can, and he who created hearing and speech, you don't think he hears and speaks and sees? Hayoser goyim halo yochiach, hamalamed adam das. Now listen to what David HaMelech is saying. David HaMelech is saying, eventually Hashem is going to punish the nations of the world. And Hashem eventually is going to give all of mankind knowledge. And when that happens, then all the fake excuses go away. You know, if a person, let's say, Chas v'shalom, has a sad addiction in their life, let's say a person has an addiction, so they make excuses. They say, they have to do this. They're not really addicted, or just one more time they're going to have this, or they really could abstain and they just don't feel like it, and whatever. It's all rationalizations and lies. And eventually all the lies are going to fall away. In the world of truth, God is true. And all the lies are going to fall away. You should know that for this whole year and a half, the government, these people keep saying, we're in a war right now. We don't have time to investigate how this whole thing happened. And what happens is that people slowly are lacking. They lack the energy because everyone's drained every day. Today, there was another accident, quote unquote, in the army. It was an accident. It was in a training center where the soldiers are just being trained. They're not even fighting yet. Supplies of weapons somehow blew up, and 10 kids were hurt. So everyone's so tired. This is a psychological warfare here. So what's happening is that people are forgetting to investigate, like, how did this happen to begin with? So we need Hashem to step in and to just strip away all the lies. And the way that we can lizarez, it said, to make that happen quicker, is if we also do the same thing in our own personal life. Strip away the lies. Where are we rationalizing? Where are we rationalizing and compromising in? A little white lie here, a little change here, a little tweak in the halacha there. Where are we doing that? Because only the evil in the world is yonek from the Jewish people. And scarily, the evil in the world is yonek, is empowered and enlivened by the good people in the Jewish people, not by the bad people. And so each of us has to say, like, where am I faking it? And can I acknowledge that? And can I stop faking it? It doesn't mean that if you have a neighbor that you don't like and you're just being polite to that neighbor, you should start being impolite. That's not what I'm talking about. It means between us and our soul, where am I trying to trick myself? Because Hamalamed Adam Dat, because ultimately Hashem is going to teach the whole world truth. And when that happens, all the lies Mamela are going to just disappear. And we'll laugh at the apparent powers that are not really powers. Now, years and years ago in Neve, we had a rabbi. He doesn't teach there anymore. I don't know where he is. But we used to call him the movie rabbi, because he would teach, he would bring movies in, the kind of movie that was in the movies, theaters, whatever. Do they still even have movie theaters, or is everything online? Anyway, and he would analyze it. So he analyzed a movie called The Matrix. Now, I saw this movie Matrix many times because I have a whole long story about this. Years and years ago, I don't know how, maybe in 1990, I don't know, you'd have to look it up and see when that Matrix movie was. But I think maybe even, is that possible, like 34 years ago? Is that how old that movie is? The first movie? Um, I had a group of girls when I was living in America. I was teaching in a wonderful, wonderful school called Ezra Academy of Queens, a fabulous institution that saves the lives of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So I had a group that year that they were very unmotivated. They were the seniors and they were falling apart spiritually. It was when the internet first began, and these kids were staying up all night long watching the internet. And they would come to school, and I had them in the mornings. They would come to school, get into the classroom, and put their heads on the table and fall fast asleep because they were up all night with the internet. There was also a little bit of drugs that they were, that was available to them. It was a very terrible time in these particular kids' lives, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to teach them. I didn't know what to do for them, and so I asked them, like, what can I do for you? Like, what can I teach you guys? What do you want to talk about? And they said, we want to watch movies. So I said to them, I don't watch movies. And they said a movie came out and that it's very spiritual. And they really want me to watch it with them and explain it to them because they know that it's very spiritual. They just don't understand it. So I said, I don't watch movies. They said, it's kosher. There's only one scene, 1999. So how many years ago is that? 2000, 1999. The first Matrix is 1999. That's not so far ago. 24, what are we, 25 and 26 years ago. Anyway, I think it was before that. Anyway, they said there's only one scene that's dancing in a nightclub, and it's not bad, but we'll cover it up for you it's not a bad scene. It's like part of the theme of the movie. I said, you promise? Because I don't want to watch. They said, we promise. So I took their word for it. In those days, it was something called Blockbuster. You used to have to go to rent a movie. You don't even know these kinds of things because you're all such pure souls. But in America, there was a store. You would get this giant tape, and you had to machnis it, so you had to put it into a machine, and then you had to put that machine, attach the machine to a big TV, and you could see a movie like that. You had to pay for it. So they went and they rented the movie, and the next morning, I told my principal, listen, I'm going to be watching a movie. Don't yell at me. I'm watching a movie. They say it's spiritual. You can come watch with us. Anyway, whatever it was, they put the movie on. And I hadn't watched movies and I hadn't seen any Baruch Hashem in so many years that I couldn't follow the acting. I couldn't follow the theme. I didn't know what was going on. And forgive me, I'm going to say something that's going to sound very racist. But the two protagonists of the movie, the good guy and the bad guy, to me, they looked like the same. They were a tall skinned guy. They were tall, skinny, white, non-Jew. That's how I couldn't look, I couldn't figure out, is that the good guy? Oh, that's the bad guy. Oh, that's the good guy. They looked the same to me because I wasn't really looking at their faces so much. I couldn't figure out until I started to chap what the movie was about. And they used to have to stop the movie every 5 minutes and explain to me what just happened because I really wasn't following the plot. Once I understood what it was about, I said, okay, I get it. And rewound it to the beginning. And we began for 2 weeks. I was talking to them about this movie. Anyway, the rabbi in the Vey also, he brought, they used to do it in the Vey also, they teaching in the Vey. It's a very, very, very interesting, it's called Matrix #1. Subsequently, they made two other Matrix movies, #2 and #3, which I would not recommend. But #1 was a very interesting idea. They were trying to explain the idea of consciousness. Now, right now, here we are. I'm sitting in my study in Yerushalayim Kodesh, Baruch Hashem, and you're in wherever you are, and we're all uniting in learning Torah. So, where are we? Am I in Manchester or in London? Are you here in Jerusalem or in Ramat Beit Shemesh? When I look at you and the people who are in the UK, do I get transformed there? Do I get brought there? Like, how does consciousness work? The Baal Shem Tov says that you are where your mind is. You are where your mind is. So, so in this movie, the good guy, At a certain point, he recognizes that everything that he's been looking at is just a show. It's just like a movie screen, and that nothing that he's afraid of actually can hurt him because nothing is real. It's all in his mind. When he realizes that, he begins to go like this, and every time there's like, 1,000 guys trying to kill him, he just goes like that, and they disappear, and he goes like that, and they disappear. That's what's going to happen at the end of time. It was a very brilliant description of a very brilliant idea. I think subsequently, the two people who made that movie they had a crazy life. They were both men. They turned into women, or they turned into kangaroos. Michigan, they're a little crazy, but somehow they were privileged to bring this idea into consciousness of humanity, and which is, once you see the truth, every lie just disappears and falls away. It dissolves. Once you see emes, nothing else exists but emes. Once you see truth, that's why people who have a near-death experience, they die officially, then they come back to life. They lose all fear because they know that they're in a different mindset. They know that God exists. And however they saw it in their near-death experience, and however they were taught that what the name of God is, whatever, is how they interpret it. And nowadays, since near-death experiences became like a very popular thing to make a movie about, so every other person's having a near-death experience. But I remember learning about this when it was first being researched 30 years ago. I studied with psychiatrists who worked in this field before it became popular, before people knew about it and made it into a theatrical kind of a thing. Now everybody, who, I don't know, fainted, they wake up and they say, yeah, I had an experience and I saw a long tunnel and a light. And I studied this before any of this became theatrical. And people who had those experiences, they transformed their life because they touched something true, emes, and after that, nothing that's fake matters. It's like, if you really love something, you really love someone, then in a second you can spot fake love. True love is a whole different universe. It's a whole different experience. And then there's fake love. Some people, sadly, that's what their life is. When you touch truth, when you touch the Torah, you know that there's nothing else that exists. When you touch Hashem, God, you know that nothing else exists except for His truth. That's what it means. God is going to teach mankind again. He'll give us another chance. We'll be in the Gan Eden again, and we'll this time eat from the Eitz Hadat, the Eitz Hadas, right? This time we'll eat from the tree of knowledge that Hashem will supply us with, and it will be the true knowledge in the right time. I'll just continue a little bit more because I took away from the beginning of the class playing with my computer here. Hashem yodeh machshavot adam ki hei mahavel. God knows, therefore, He knows what people are thinking. And He knows that the plans of evil people are void and formless. They have no power. They have no power at all. Most of our thoughts in general are stupid. How many thoughts do we think a day that are absolutely worthless or meaningless or not rooted in reality? But you should know that Hashem knows your mind. If tzaddikim know how to read your mind, Hashem knows how to read your mind. There's so many stories of tzaddikim, people have a certain thought and then they go to a tzaddik and they don't reveal the thought to anybody. They go to the tzaddik and he says what they were thinking about. Tzaddikim can do this very easily. If you're really attached to God, then if you need to, it's not for theater, not for theatrical, not for because you want to have students and you want to make a big name for yourself. But a tzaddik who truly is devoted to helping people, tzaddikim are the righteous leaders of the Jewish people. If they're truly, truly devoted, if they're truly servants of God, and if a person comes to them, and if God says you need to know what he was thinking in order to help him, so God will reveal to that tzaddik what the person was thinking. It's a no-brainer. You don't need to, it's not like a hard thing to do. Hashem, if you're in Hashem's army, if you're in Hashem's service, then Hashem's, and you say, Hashem, what would you like me to do? Hashem says, you have to help that person. Yeah, but that person's not going to listen to me. Like Moshe Rabbeinu said in this week's parasha. And Hashem says, yeah, you're right. I'm going to have to tell you what he's thinking of, and then he'll have, then he'll see that you're a special person. Sometimes it happens like that. Hashem Yodea Machshavos Adam. Hashem knows everything. And you know what, ladies? There's going to be a certain point where we will be able to read everyone's mind. When Mashiach comes, and our own intellects will expand. And we don't know what that feels like now, because right now we're trapped, we're stuck, we're limited. Everyone in the misgeret that they're in, everyone in the framework that they're in, you're like stuck at a certain point. All of us are stuck at a certain point. When Mashiach comes, we'll begin to be unstuck, and we'll grow, and we'll understand. Our brain will understand. Did it ever happen to you that something that you didn't understand, and all of a sudden you understood it now? Like 1 second you didn't understand it, and then all of a sudden Hashem opened up your mind and you understood. It's a very, very pleasurable feeling. Is an understatement. Is to understand something that before you were blocked from understanding, or to be able to accomplish something that you were being blocked from. So right now, all of humanity is blocked. Till Mashiach comes, we're all blocked. But when Mashiach comes, we'll be unblocked. That's why it's going to be a no-brainer. People keep thinking, how are we going to know Mashiach is here? You're going to change. My Rav in Breslov Hasidus, his name was Reb Moshe Burstein Zatzal. He was the elder of all the Breslover Hasidim in the world. And he once told me, he became like a grandfather to me. He died at age 97, about 6 years ago. And I told you many times how he died. He didn't die. He just went like that, and that was the end of him. He just went to Daven Mariv in shul, and he did a little rikud. They went around in a circle as Breslovers do after prayer. And then he sat down in a chair. He felt tired. He sat down and he went like that. And that was it. He died. Anyway, he once said that for him, Mashiach came a long time ago, because when he understood Rabbi Nachman and he attached himself to Rabbi Nachman, he was a Breslover, and for him, Mashiach already came. Everything was perfect. Anyway, it's going to happen to all of us, Bezrat Hashem. I hope we don't have to continue this next week. By next week, ladies, the whole world's going to be different. It's going to be a different world. I don't know exactly how. I hope better. I hope easily better. But very different by next week. So let's hope that we're going to be learning next week all the Mashiach Tehillims. I told you once that the Rav said that that Tehillim was really written for Mashiach. For Mashiach. Tehillim was written for Mashiach. We use it as our book, but the tzaddikim say that Tehillim was written for Mashiach. And when he comes, we're going to see how everything that we related to it so much, but it was really, Mashiach is going to say the whole Tehillim. And Mashiach is going to show how it was related to him and to his job in the world, etc. How that's going to be, I don't know. Because and I'm sure that when you say Tehillim, you say, oh, you wrote this for me. And Mashiach is going to say, oh, you wrote this for me. And he's going to be right. Let me say hi to all the people